Hi class, Kevin Robinson here. Sorry about the delay on the speech. This is my persuasive speech. It's been kind of a busy time trying to get to the end of this term, doing a lot of our finals, doing a lot of catch-up work because I've been out of town some here recently. I've chosen to do my persuasive speech on building codes within the local governments, within your city municipalities. Some of the facts that I have found from the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, in January 2010, the Haiti earthquake, according to the official estimates, 316,000 people were killed, 300,000 were injured, 1.3 million displaced, 97,294 houses were destroyed, and 188,383 were damaged in the Port-au-Prince earthquake. Another one more recent, according to the USGS, in April 25th, 2015, the Nepal earthquake, at least 8,148 people were killed. The reason I bring up these stats and how important they are is because of the codes. When I started looking through and I remember the Haiti earthquake and started looking at some of the devastation and some of the houses that were torn down and broke down and fell, there wasn't any rebar, there wasn't any structural elements that I recognize in houses today. So I wanted to cover a few things and explain some of the problem and why the code process is important. Now, the very first code that there was the Code of Hammurabi, according to Francisco J. Mata Bermudez. And he stated, the first civil code known to mankind was the Code of Hammurabi, who was the sixth king of Babylon, ruling from 1792 BC to 1750 BC. In Law 229, if a builder builds a house for someone and does not construct it properly, and the house which he builds falls in and kills the owner, then the builder shall be put to death. Now, I know that seems like a pretty harsh ruling, but I equate it to probably why we still see some of the Egyptian ruins today. The code cycle is on a 3-year cycle. Here in my particular city, we just adopted the 2015s in Amarillo. That code was actually written, or was starting to be written in 2012. So we needed to keep up with the most current codes, because as the new one hits the shelf, the old one's already through, or the new one is 3 years old already as it sits. Now, some of the things that are addressed in the code and why we can build and keep up, and your city and local government need to keep up with the codes, is because of these earthquakes. We tend to learn from disasters. We've learned from disasters that, yes, we need fires, we need fire suppression systems, we need sprinkler systems in office buildings and houses. We've learned through earthquakes and other incidences that we need a good structural slab, which is the concrete slab or footing in combination that's going to hold that house to the ground and make sure it's not shifting around. They also do that with reinforced concrete, where they put rebar inside the concrete to hold everything together. Exterior siding or brick, and they have to use brick ties in order to hold that brick in. As you look at some of the pictures from that destruction, you will see a lot of bricks, but there were no walls behind it. It was merely just the bricks stacked up with whatever mortar or mud they could get to go in between them. So there was nothing really structural to it other than standing up a bunch of bricks on a wall. As we live in a safe environment, the things that we don't think about, anytime we go in to flip on a light switch, we don't ever stop to think, am I going to get electrocuted? Is something bad going to happen? Anytime I go to get, or any of us go to get a drink of water out of the faucet, we don't stop to think, is this safe drinking water? Is it potable? Is there contaminants in it? Is there stuff I need to worry about? Probably some of what makes America, in my opinion, some of the strongest in building codes that we have. Another USGS report, in April 18, 1906, San Francisco had an earthquake that had 3,000 deaths from either the earthquake or fire. In comparison, in October 17th, 1989, when Santa Cruz, California had another major earthquake, and there were only 63 deaths. So within that period, they learned that, hey, we need to do something different. We need to come up with some building codes in order to protect our citizens and protect our structures for these earthquake-type situations. So they've come up with modern codes, and modern codes address some of these instances and situations. Now, what could be some of the solution? How can you deal with it? How can you help in this process? It's pretty easy. Going to your city council, going to some of those city council meetings, educating yourself on the current building codes. The most current building codes are also some of the most energy efficient codes. If you were under an old code, as some of the cities here in the Panhandle were, and you think about spray foam insulation, it being a superior product to just simply the fiberglass bat insulation in the walls. Well, if you're under an older code, it's not really recognized in the code because it's a newer product. To give you kind of an example to help understand that a little bit better, if you were to look at your cell phone and where it is today and where it was 10 years ago, that's a huge difference. That's taking an old flip phone into where you have pretty much a complete computer in the palm of your hand today. So going to your city councils, educating yourself on your codes, find out what code cycle you have, if your city has a code, what year it's under. Go to those meetings, push for the most current codes that you can have. It'll protect you, your family, and the city that you live in. Again, thank you, and sorry for the delay.